Yeah, look at the world. It's already. I mean, it's like
Got a
Grand
minute?
Theft Auto in
Huh?
2020
Get out of my
2000.
space, schoolboy!
This is my favorite
Excuse
part right
me.
here.
Huh? Who the hell you think you are?
God, that's like my regular life.
Yeah, right. I know.
That's when I'm trying to
That's why I loved it.
talk to girls.
There's
Yeah,
like,
that's just
oh,
get
not
out of
only do
here.
I get rejected by women in real life, I'm getting rejected by him on the video game too.
Yeah, that's
Okay, thank
basically
you.
yeah. You want to know
Hey, get
what
out of
real
here,
life?
jerk.
You want to know what real life is? Here, play this game, and that's exactly how you'll be treated.
Oh man, I hope Cornucopias doesn't make me get rejected like that, but that's okay. Welcome to Around the Corn, presented by the Knights Guild. I'm your host, Faux Hubers, joined as always by the man Morgan Friedman says has a godlike voice, Eddy Z. Eddy, tell the people what they got for them today.
Oh man, we got lots to talk about. I mean, definitely talk about more Rob's story and where he came from. Looking,
Yeah, he had a big interview this week.
yeah, definitely. I thought that was very interesting. Hope so. If you didn't listen to it, I definitely highly recommend people go back
Yeah.
into the Discord. I think they posted that link on there. Definitely recommend it for everybody to check it out.
Plus, we got some clips for it for everybody too, like something, a couple pieces of it that stood out to us. So if you can't get to it, we're gonna have a little bit of it for you today. How was your week, my friend? Did you have a good week?
Oh yeah, I think it was finally good. I
Yeah.
got my car back. I think it was a solid week. Can't complain.
Today was I went to my barbershop today, and it was my barbershop is like, I like the crypto brain trust. I walk in there and they're all like cheering me on because Ada's up. It was like a really good feeling to be there. I was like, they're like, oh, because they know I'm a big Cardano guy, and we the whole hour just spent talking crypto with the guys there and the people getting their hair cut. It's like my favorite thing to do is to go to the barbershop.
Yeah,
So
that's actually nice. Yeah, actually, as you say that, I do remember me talking to a coworker as well who she has a lot of Bitcoin, and I'm like, wow,
oh, well,
that's
she's having a great week then,
oh
huh?
yeah, oh yeah. She's
Yeah,
saying
that's
she's like a few more. Once it gets to 80,000, she might she might go ahead and sell it,
yeah,
keep a few.
that's
But
awesome. There's
yeah,
a lot of happy people walking around, but also there's a lot of people that are kind of like who don't normally talk to me about this stuff, kind of asking questions, and that's got me a little nervous, right? Like, oh, here we go again.
hmm
So, all right, man. The first thing I think we should get into tonight, there was like a from that interview, Rob Greig's interview. He talked about one of his favorite games growing up, and it was a game I remember playing at the arcades. It was like a big arcade game, and then it was an NES game, and then there was like a second version of it that came out, like a sequel. And then, throughout the years, there's been like other kind of remakes of it. But have you ever played the game Double Dragon?
I do remember playing it on the NES way back in the day. I had the cartridge version, so yeah. But it's I mean I can't even really remember it that well, but I do remember playing it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of like one of those early beat 'em up games, like one of the first of its kind where it was you were just kind of, it was 2D sort of, but it was kind of like attempting to be a little bit 3D, and you're just, moving forwards or backwards and you're fighting enemies. It reminds me of like Contra without the guns. I mean, I played Contra pretty much nonstop for like a good chunk of my childhood.
Yeah, and actually, you know what also reminds me of also was similar to that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game.
Oh,
It was
that's right. Yeah, I
yeah,
didn't even think about that.
yeah. It's like where it's like very linear, but at the same time you have a path and you kind of just go through. You're moving right, and you're basically fighting all these people. So that's another game that it reminds me of.
Wait, now, I mean, we all know that that's not going to be. I mean, Cornucopias, right? We know
Right.
that the Cornucopias is going to be a 3D or a two-dimensional, beat 'em up game. But what do you think, if anything, like that being, quote unquote, Rob's favorite game growing up? Does that kind of give you any thoughts about what might be on store for Cornucopias?
You know, the fact that I mean, and even I think he might have even mentioned it in that interview. It's something that even I've commented in some of my personal, my own channel's stream, and actually I might have even mentioned it in our last podcast. I think about the fact that you could go into into this area inside of Cornucopias, inside of Colito Valley, and go to a venue and start playing arcades, like have an arcade style system. Like you can just walk into a room full of arcade games, and you can go up to a system and play a
Yeah.
game within a game, right? So I can kind of imagine that because of how, where Rob comes from. I could see that happening. Honestly, I could see even 2D games like Galaga or Pac-Man come up, and you can go into a venue in here that's like an arcade-ish style venue and start playing 2D type games that people can create if you wanted to. I can see that happening.
Why don't we have a little piece of video? Why don't we play that and talk about what we see in Rob's favorite game? And we're getting in the brain of Rob Greig here.
Oh yeah.
Little Rob Greig going to the arcade, putting in the quarter into the machine, and this is what he is doing. Yeah, so here it is, Double Dragon in the flesh. I remember this game almost instinctually when I started playing it in one of those browser arcades that you can play it, and I played it, and I don't know if I knew Double Dragon, like, but I know I played it the second I started playing it again. I had this muscle memory to it.
Yeah, and it was I feel like it was ahead of its time at that, in the fact that you can also play side by side with, a friend or a sibling and tag team the game. So I thought it was really well done.
Yeah, in the arcade, you could play two players, right? And you could side by side or on the NES.
Yep.
You just got clobbered by the baseball bat, right? Let's just. Sure, we have like games now that are like questionable violence and stuff like that, but like, don't you think like some parent walked into like a playroom of a kid watching him play this game, and they're like, "Jimmy, are you beating somebody up?" And they did not know what they were getting.
Yeah, I would probably be the same. I would be that kid, right? Just to be like, "This is a great game. It's not violent."
Yeah, don't take my game away from me. Look at him go, just clobbering the bald guy. I remember that bald guy. If you play it, if you get into the browser and you're playing it, it is surprisingly hard. It was not easy for me to even get to this point.
Oh, that's right. I remember picking up that knife and throwing it.
Yeah, you could throw it.
There it is. Yeah,
right there. Got him. Look how angry this guy is. He's got eyes like he is zombied out. Pick up the barrel and throw it.
It's so funny how the music is.
This is great. And then he's picking up the barrel. He's just walking around with it, and you're like, he just back elbows him. Goes for the headbutt and misses.
Yeah, it's like, look at that flying kick.
Yeah. So this was Rob's favorite game, and I wonder if there's going to be like some kind of, this might have been a precursor to Donkey Kong, even like with all the barrel throwing.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? One other thing that I really enjoyed about that interview was the fact that he brought up his experience with that whole choose your own adventure portion when he grew up. He talked about a book, like a book series of the fact that you could read the book and you had like choices to make. So you can actually choose, like you get to a part of the story and you had to make a choice and you had to go to a certain page. The same thing. I can relate to Rob in that sense because there's I don't know if you've ever heard of the Goosebump series.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
yeah,
I remember they even made a TV show of it where it was like, "Reader beware, you're in for a scare," because that was like their like slogan.
I heard that rings a bell in my ear, like ear memory.
Yeah, and so growing up, I also would read. There's like the ones you just would normally read. There was a Goosebump series you could just read straight through, but then there were a version where you actually got to a certain point, and then it's like, go to page 300 and you can go through the forest, or go to page 285 and you can go through the house instead.
I think Rob literally said exactly that in the interview. Yeah. Like go you can go up to the mountain, or you can do that.
Yeah. So I can relate to Rob in terms of that, and I think that's what makes a really good game, and what makes people come back to a particular game like an RPG, because
Mhm.
you literally can do your own thing, right? That's the whole point of why we all like to have our own customizations in terms of the, customizing our avatars, right? I feel like NFTs are that too. You buy the ones that you want to have because
Yep.
it's unless you're trying to make money off of it, right? But like I feel like that's what's going to make this game, and I think the fact that Rob has that vision
So
is key.
do you think that's going to shape Cornucopias? Because, like, do you think that there's going to be, I mean, we know there's going to be a lore, but do you think there's going to be a lore in such a way that it might be different for me than for you? If I choose a certain path in this game, I get to a different end than you do? Or do you think that it's like, yeah, you choose, everyone can choose their own path, but it's probably going to come to like the same end? How do you think that's going to play here?
Actually, that's a good question because it all depends on the lore and your story. But I mean, I mean, I I would love that actually if they had alternate endings for each person depending on
Yeah.
how they play. I mean, that actually
Well,
is a
it could, there
good.
could be no ending, right? Because this is going
Yeah,
to be infinite, but like alternate paths, maybe where we're,
yeah. I mean, I can see
yeah.
that. I already kind of sense that in terms of like where people can become a miner, or become a
Hmm.
farmer, or become
Absolutely.
have their own ranch and raise horses, right? Like, so I feel like that already is going to bring that aspect to it, so I can see that happening.
I remember that happening a little bit towards the end of me playing World of Warcraft, where you, I think there was like areas in different phases at least or something. Maybe not different paths, but like the world might not look the same way to me as it did to you because I was further along or I was in a different spot than you. And I mean I know there's a history of games doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how likely that is, at least not in the early, you
Yeah,
know,
I don't think
at
early for sure.
release, because I mean, I would assume that requires a lot of resources for, to have,
Yeah.
and a lot of different servers to have multiple, like, because right now obviously we're doing 3 solaces and 3 fortunes and 3 esperanzas, and it's all going to be all in the same metaverse. So but that for that to happen, I would assume that they would have to have like significant amount of servers, and significant amount of solaces and fortunes and
Yeah.
esperanzas.
The,
um
the where I think it can play, and maybe not like a choose your own adventure, like you go to this mountain and then I go to this river and we're on a different story. But I think there's going to be like tons of alternate achievements and alternate storylines, and that we can, do that today, and we will be on our own path, and it'll all have the same end in the same direction. But like, while you might be focusing on the main storyline on this one day that you're playing, I might choose to be doing, like going off on the secondary storyline and playing that to its conclusion. So I think maybe that is kind of more along the lines of what we'll get when we have the full game.
yeah, I mean, only time will tell, right? So
Only time will tell. Yeah, that's why. But we're here to guess. We're here to do as much speculating as we can do.
mhm.
All right, man. We're at the trade division here, and we were talking about the choose your own adventure. And there's a clip from the interview that I think is really interesting. Why don't we go ahead and play that clip now?
Okay.
Well, yeah, and so it's funny. Of all this time, we've talked about so many things, and I haven't asked one of the simplest questions of what is the gameplay like? What is what you're trying to do with the game, or is it a multitude of things? Because as far as I know, you're making an MMORPG. I've
Yeah.
seen a lot of the open world aspects, some of the crafting aspects, some of the exploratory aspects. But I'm not sure if you all are trying to do kind of a multitude of things within this one vision.
Um, yes, so that there's a couple of elements in it, and I suppose let me think. If we kind of go back to what I was talking about before, about influences that came with the game. If I go back to it was around about the year 2000. There was a game that came out on the Dreamcast called Shenmue, and this was a massive open world 3D role playing game that was built on top of an amazing, incredible story. And you walked around and you explored this huge open world, and you solved different puzzles. But the best part for me was you could go to an arcade. And when you went into this arcade, you could play actual arcade games. So you could play stuff like
Yeah.
Space Harrier and Hang On. So you were playing a game within a game. And that really kind of stuck in my head. And, create your own adventure and being influenced by all these old school games. Because, the gameplay has always been there. When you've seen all these, played and analyzed all these different games, you kind of think, wow. I remember there's another game back. Was it Haribo House or Club Penguin? But something very similar. I mean, I suppose it's kind of the same. I wanted to create a game that had these elements of massive MMORPG, obviously puzzle, fishing, mining, which to me were kind of mini experiences, and racing as well. But because I wanted to be part of a community, how do you involve different communities? Because not everybody's a hardcore core player. Some people just want casual. They just want to come in, maybe do a bit of farming. Some might just want to come in and do racing, because that's a completely different genre. So we wanted to capture and develop the game, something that can grow with the lore as well over time, because there's an underlying story that goes with it as well. So, but influenced by, you'll go into this experience, then there's another experience, then maybe another day, and that works on so many different levels, because obviously there's a retention of the players. You get used to a loop, and if you don't like it, then you want to go and play another game. All these kind of loops are built in traditional games anyway. There's kind of like this 30-second or 40-second rule where you have to kind of distract people and send them on different kind of different paths and different quests. And so it was, how do we build a game that is kind of community driven, where you can go in and play your own game? So I mean, that's a long way of saying that. That's kind of what we're going for. At the heart of it is an MMORPG, but it has influences of metaverse and
All right, man.
I love his
that's a
vision.
lot
I
to
like,
unpack there.
I like where he comes from again. Like, cause that's one thing I like about Rob, is I feel like I can relate to him in so many different levels, and I'm glad that I'm happy about that, because I feel like I could listen to man talk all day, man, in terms of where he came from, where his ideas are coming from, what his vision is. And it's one thing to have the vision, right? So it's another thing to also execute on it. So like, that's where David comes in, the creative director, and
Right.
just obviously, because we also have to, the ideas are so big, right? But we have to also make sure that we can actually execute on it on terms of logistics, and that's kind of why the pivot in terms of the home bubble. And I know certain people are kind of like, well, we want people to come in and build their stuff, and that, because that's the one gripe about the home bubble. But again, the vision is still there. It's led by Rob and Josh, and I think it's going to happen. It's just going to happen in a different the timeline has to change, so it will come back out though.
I mean, I was doing some research into the two games that he mentioned, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Shenmue was something that I had never heard of. I don't think you had ever heard of either.
I've never heard of it.
But
Yeah.
get a load of this plot, right? This is coming from Wikipedia, right?
All right.
So in Yokosuka, Japan, 1986, the teenage martial arts Ryo Hazuki returns to his family dojo to witness a confrontation between his father and a Chinese man, Lin Di. Landy, I guess, easily incapacitates Rio and threatens to kill him unless Iowa gives him a mysterious stone artifact known as the Dragon Mirror. So, like, this is the kind of game that Rob is talking about. I mean, it's got like a, kind of like a dark but like rich already beginning to it, right?
Yeah.
So, and so I guess what happens here is that Rio's father dies, and then he's swearing revenge on Landy. Rio begins his investigation by asking locals about what they witnessed. So I thought it would be fun to unpack this game that probably people haven't heard of, and I wanted to show a clip from it. So let's show that clip.
I'm curious to look
Yeah,
into
you're
this.
gonna. I found a good. I mean, there was like an 8 hours worth of gameplay
Holy hell!
that I
Okay.
found online. I pulled this little clip from it, and it is great.
All right, let's check it
watch
out.
that.
Yeah.
I can't wait for you to see this.
Oh, it's you now. How is your back? Yes, it's much better.
I mean, I
How
love
did
the
you know?
voice acting in this.
I heard from someone in the neighborhood that you almost got ran over by a car. Well, it must have been Megumi or Sumiya-san.
So this is
told
what
you.
the plot was right
That
here. He's,
driver
like,
was
investigating.
insane.
Interesting.
Could you tell me about what happened with that car? Sure. This black car came flying around the corner over by Sakuragaoka Park.
Look at these
and went
graphics. It brings back
towards,
memories.
Dobuita. A black car.
Impressive for the Dreamcast, because you said it was on Dreamcast, right?
Yeah.
Maybe if there hadn't been any snow.
I missed the Sega
And to
Dreamcast. I'm not gonna lie,
make
that's probably one of the
matters
best
worse,
systems
I
out there
fell over.
Yeah.
So I never had the chance.
for its time.
Oh, well, I'm glad to hear you're okay.
So he goes in his little notebook here. He's like solving this mystery, solving these puzzles, lots of mini games, right?
Yeah, see, the games that were on the Dreamcast were so ahead of their time. I mean, for a
Yeah.
system that was also that added for the first time like an Ethernet port for you to play online, like people were like, "You play online?" Like people didn't understand the concept
Yeah.
of that, and I missed the Dreamcast, and I think it was a pioneer in so many levels.
Yeah, look at the world. It's already, I mean, it's like
Got
Grand
it?
Theft Auto in 2020,
Get out of my
2000.
space, schoolboy!
This is my favorite
Excuse
part right
me.
here.
Huh? Who the hell you think you are?
God, that's like my regular life.
Yeah, right. I know.
When I'm trying to
That's why I loved it.
talk to girls.
There's
Yeah,
like,
that's just
oh,
Get
not
outta
only
here.
do I get rejected by women in real life, I'm getting rejected by him on the video game too.
yeah,
Okay,
that's
thank
basically
you.
yeah. You want to
Hey, get outta here, jerk.
You want to know what real life is? Here, play this game, and that's exactly how you'll be treated.
Oh man, I hope Cornucopias doesn't make me get rejected like that, but that's okay. So, based on the things that we kind of got out of the Neo Tokyo podcast, where he was talking about the 12 architects and the Genesium, I can see maybe there's a mystery that we have to solve, right? Like maybe, do we even know why we have these technological bubbles based on like 1950s technology? Like, are we going to have to try to solve it ourselves? Are we going to have to try to piece together the story through like mini quests and like piecing together the lore and these mini games that we're going to be playing? And it's going to be kind of something like that Shenmue. That would be, I think, a really compelling game. Is that almost like a mystery that reveals itself as you're playing?
Yeah, that's actually a good point. I'm curious how that is tied to it, because because the one thing is, look, we already have some of the vehicles, right, that have that. So, but is it just that we own it just because we have it, but there's a lore to it in terms of how you create this Genesium, or is it something that you mine, or I'm just
Right.
That's the one thing I'm.
Or
very
was it
curious
brought here? That's something I was wondering. Was it brought here by someone who doesn't belong on Earth? Has it always been on Earth? Is it discovered because it's part of the cosmos and we were able to discover it that way? Or there's a lot to unfold in that whole storyline that we're gonna have to probably piece together as we're playing the game.
Yeah, I think someone just needs to slip Rob some drinks and just start
Right.
no more. Honestly,
The other interesting thing from the interview that he did in that Shenmue game was that's where he talked about, he thought it was so cool that you could be in Shenmue and then walk into an arcade and then play other games inside Shenmue. And we know for a fact that's going to be a part of this game because we've already got the racing, we already got Rumble Ball. Why don't you play that second clip from the interview right now?
all right.
Where would you like to see Cornucopia in the next 5 years? Are there any expansions you'd like to add, like DLC later on, or are you wanting additional features players look forward to that you can reveal at this time, or is it just to continue building and growing the way you have been?
Yeah, I mean, I think Cornucopias is a forever game. We built it in such a way that the lore can expand. Like I say, we're in this alternative universe. We have all these domes and these experiences that appear, and you know, the whole economy is grown by the players themselves, and the worlds, the environments, they will grow as districts grow, and we really take on like I say, the ethos of the community. So when you join a district, there'll be about 200 people within your village, and you are playing on your own, but you're also being part of the district. So as that's leveling up, you'll get to a point where you'll have a decision, right? What should we do to improve our district? And we'll have district versus district competitions. So we're encouraging people to play together and also play on their own. So to keep that whole game loops to, you know, to completely evolve over time, I think it's really, really important. And the game has been built in that way, so that we can add all these different experiences, you know, in the future, if we want to introduce BMX racing or skateboarding, or as long as it fits within our lore, which it should do, because we have cities and we have all kinds of different technology zones going on. Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And if anything, I think that the fact that you don't have to go out and buy DLC, that it's just naturally being built as part of how the game's being developed, I think that's another positive.
Well, there you have it. That is exactly what the kind of framework right there that you see in like a game like Shenmue, and the other game that he mentioned in the first clip, which was Club Penguin, which my understanding is Club Penguin was all about games within games, right? Like there was all kinds of games you could go travel around and play while you're in Club Penguin.
Yeah, I mean, basically similar to what I was just saying earlier in terms of being able to play arcade games. Like I've even thought about where you could have like right here, for example, like right where we're at, we can probably sit down on this chair. I mean, obviously, probably would be on two different where the players can sit on either end, and then you start playing a different, maybe a Cornucopia space game, or a chess, or even another Web3 game such as like Makosi, or Wolves of Rome, or Yummy Universe, where they have their own card games, and it's like linked to that. So I mean, I can see that happening. The fact that they can expand with other and partner up with other projects. I just feel like
if we have
that could happen.
in-game chess, I want it to be guild versus guild, where Scott is the king of like peace, right? And Linda is the queen, and maybe Josh from Late Game Crypto is a bishop.
It'd be like Harry Potter, huh?
I'll be a pawn. I'm happy, but I want to be like the E pawn or the D pawn, right? Like I want to be an important pawn, right? And so like it's just like that. And then on the you know mafia side, you could get their guys and put them in different spots. And then you have like two game masters that are playing the chess, and then we get to battle it out when we cross each other's squares.
Yeah,
That's how I want chess in Cornucopias.
Yeah, definitely would be like a Harry Potter experience, right? Like
Yeah. I mean, I love going to like Renaissance fairs, and they do that. They'll do like a chess game like that where they, I mean, it's all planned out and acted, but like, you know, the king and will fight the rook, and the queen will, you know, do their damage. And somewhere along the way, like one of the pieces will end up trying to cheat. It's, you know, always good fun, but
no,
I love stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm definitely all for it. I mean, I think, and that's the thing, and that's another part of choose your own adventure, right? Because you don't have, you don't have to do like, I mean, unless you want to get rewarded more, but like you can do whatever you want, and that's the thing. And I like the fact that Rob says like we've built the game in a way that we can later on expand it the way that, and that's like it's exactly
right
what I envisioned. I mean,
yeah,
it just makes so much sense. I didn't really.
The way I think about it is almost could be like a conglomerate of games, right? Where you can build. I know you didn't land on this grape, and I'm on top of it right now, and I feel like I'm a king of the hill or something.
I overshot it,
but but the where you can just you have maybe even different companies that are bringing their own games into this place, and you're gonna have like really good information as the development team as to like what's people are playing, right? Like so, like Rob said, BMX biking, right? In that clip, I mean, I don't know if that's gonna be fun or not. I personally wouldn't play it, but if they put it in here and it's like all of a sudden really popular, well now you know, okay, well BMX biking is where it's at. Let's do more of that. If
Yeah.
they do like what you're saying, like chess or whatever, you know, it would be if racing takes off, they have an opportunity to build what people want to play, and they'll know what people are playing, so they'll know what people want to play. And that's going to be a really good way that the community kind of pushes the development of Cornucopias.
Yeah, I think variety's the spice, right? And it's just the fact that like you could like yeah BMX or even like skateboarding like Tony Hawk style or
Yeah.
I mean I think I recently even suggested that it would be great to have a little bit more focus on the shooter game that they had put in the trailers back in the day because I
Yeah.
feel like having a really good shooter game is gonna bring more vibe, more people talking about this game. It put it more in the center, so that
Yeah.
everybody can just like, oh, have you ever heard of this Cornucopias game? They have a wicked first person shooter or third person shooter. Because when I remember that trailer, it looked badass with the laser guns, and then there's also that like tower that
Mhm.
shot like a cannon at people. I thought that was pretty rad, and I think that's something that they should really pivot and put a priority on, in my opinion. I mean, I just feel like there's got to be something that at launch,
Yeah.
yeah, you can go ahead and build, but I think that there should, and you can fish and you can race, and but I think like if you can give us like a real good first person or third person shooter as how they had in that trailer, as close as possible to launch day, I think that's going to be a game changer, and it's going to all the eyes are going to get onto Cornucopias in terms of playing. Like, look what happened with Valorant. Look what happened with League of Legends. I think those games are popular because they want people want another type of version of Call of Duty that's not broken. Because I haven't played Call of Duty in like 4 or 5 years, and it's just because like I feel like they don't capture what the audience wants, and I think that this time around, I think games are looking for a different opportunity, a different game that has a wow factor to it, and I think Cornucopias is in a great spot to capture that.
I think so. I did some research because Josh always talks about he wants 1 million users, right? And
Hmm.
I assume when he says that he's talking 1 million concurrent users. And there's
Yep.
really not a lot of games that have had 1 million concurrent users, right?
Hmm.
I've looked into it,
Yep.
and when I look at the list, over half of those games that have 1 million concurrent users are first person shooters or
Yeah.
shooter game. I mean,
Yeah.
Fortnite I think is a third person shooter, and that's got the biggest one of all time.
Yeah.
But and there's another game on that list that's like a tank game, which is really just a shooter game instead of a like person. You're a tank. So
Okay.
then there was League of Legends, which is really popular, and Dota, which is really popular. Oh, you're getting scammed by the robot. I'm gonna get away from you because I don't want to get busted if you get busted. But
I'm gonna play.
I think that list is really interesting telling because like I kind of assumed that like a game like uh Grand Theft Auto Online or Red Dead Redemption Online had 1 million concurrent players, but
Hmm.
it didn't. And
Oh, really? It didn't?
even
Okay.
yeah, and even what's the one that's Mines what's that one that all the kids play? Minesweep or not Minesweeper, but Minecraft.
Minecraft.
Um
Yes.
that I mean, that was just a shade under 1 million concurrent players too. So like, which you might call that a crafting and a building game. So that was like the only game that was I would call a crafting and building game on that list. And I know Cornucopias will be more than that, but I really would love to hear, kind of what from like Rob or David, what those games can teach us about Cornucopia, like what you can learn from those games, what could you do better than those games? That would be a really interesting conversation to have, like kind of going down that list. Which of those games have you played that you liked? Which of you didn't like? I would really love to get that information one day.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, even recently, I think there are ones that come to mind that I've played, is Pal World, which it's like they
Oh
call it
yeah,
Pokemon
that's gonna be
Pokemon. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
Pokemon with guns, right? Or they call it also another version of Ark, but they also have a building aspect, just like an Ark. You could build stuff, and I mean, I love that. That's my thing. It's like building things.
Yeah.
Another game that's
I should have
being
said that that list doesn't complete because it does it was before Pal World came out, but Pal
oh,
World
okay.
is certainly going to be on that list.
And then most recently, Helldivers 2. I only just recently played that game. I there was a lot of hype on it. I was a little bit skeptical in playing that game, but once I dove in, it's a really great game in terms of like it's a third person game where you're basically having a collective like the entire gaming community is trying to achieve a common goal of fighting off whether they're aliens, which I remember you remember the movie Super Troopers, where they have all these bugs that they're
No,
fighting
that's
against.
not. You're thinking Super Troopers is the cop one. Starship Troopers is what you're thinking.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Yeah,
Starship Troopers.
Starship
Correct.
Troopers
Yeah, I
is
stand corrected.
one of the most underrated sci-fi
Yeah,
movies of all time,
and
in my
even
opinion. It
just
was great.
yeah, and even just recently, the I think it was the director, or the producer of that movie was like, I can't believe this is so great that everybody's coming back to this our movie, and it's all because of Helldivers 2. And again, going back to that game, it's just the fact that everybody's having to everybody in the entire community is there for a common goal to fight off these monsters or fight off these robots to try to liberate them, and it's kind of brilliant. I mean, kind of, and then I actually recently saw a post online about how people are mourning the loss of a planet because they weren't able to fight off the robots off in a particular planet. They're like all these different memes of like it's just saying I think the planet's called like Malevolent or something like that, where it's like, oh, we remember Malevolent, and people like posting pictures of
But like, so it was like, I mean, they're treating it like a real tragic
yeah,
event, and they're having
and they're having fun with it, right?
that's great.
That's
I
what's
love
awesome
that.
about it. I love that. And so, can you imagine if there's something similar to that level in Cornucopias, which I think they could do? I mean, that's something that's I think as long as you have a common goal. That people are fighting off certain mounts. I would be there. That's why I even joined uh, in the fight on Helldivers 2 recently because I thought that was brilliantly done.
Yeah. I
And
mean, you can't buy that kind of advertising if people are all of a sudden posting tweets about the sadness over the lost planet.
yeah, exactly. I thought that was great. It's what made me actually download that game. That actually was one of the reasons. Like, wow, these people are actually having fun and passionate about it. And just I also heard how like they had so many people that new players were having issues getting into that game
And
because people would go AFK. So they would because they were afraid that they would not be able to get back in because the servers were overloaded with players, that they decided to go AFK for the entire like 12 hours up until they had to come back to the game, and then they were already loaded in the game already so they could continue playing. But that also prevented other people from joining their servers for whoever who just bought the game. So people were like, I bought the game and I can't even get in it. It's that
that's
popular.
crazy.
Yeah, it's such a great game.
I mean, it also shows you like the spark that you can create and really the window of opportunity that you have to pull somebody in, that it has to be so engaging because there's so many options out there in web 2 and web 3 that you can't waste a single person joining up this on this game
Hmm.
and losing their attention, because I don't know that I mean, maybe you can get it back in a game like this where you have so many different games to play, but like a lot of people, once they've put down a game, they don't pick it back up.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, I will say I firsthand did that with Call of Duty once. I think it's been like a good 4 or 5 years. And the one thing that really got me coming back really was the zombie genre of Call of Duty. I loved playing zombies. I got sick of all the cheaters, all the people just farming kills and trying to get the kill death ratios instead of fighting for the objective. It just became kind of boring and mundane after a while that I was just like, all right, let's just do zombies. At least it's fun. I can play with my friends, and we're playing a common goal type of game, which is getting through the levels, killing the zombies, and seeing how far we last. And every time it was just a thrill. I mean, it was always great to play zombies. I think that actually hell, I would love a zombie game in this Cornicopias, to be honest too. That'd be great.
Unfortunately, the kid friendly. I don't know if we'll get
Eh,
zombies, but maybe if we can get like,
doesn't have to be
uh,
zombies per se. It could
but no,
be like I don't know, like in terms of like the character, it could be something completely different. That's uh, I don't know what it could possibly be, but it had to be something creative that's not like a zombie related. So because I understand that they wanted to go
Yeah,
the kid
but you
friendly
can
route.
also, if we can get the digital ID, we can get ages on people, right? Where and they have that digital ID. You could put like domes with age restrictions on it, right? Where you could
True, true that.
so
I mean, yeah,
that
you
is
would think
definitely a
that
possibility.
you would think that's a thing too, because yeah, you're right. Like I never even thought about that, and you just said that in terms of having to restrict an age limit in case the content that's in the game that you were creating. But then again, I guess I would assume that Cornucopias, the dev team, and themselves are the ones creating the development. What is it called? The developer kits for these things. But
Mhm.
then again, what in terms of the content itself, is it kid friendly? That's something
Yeah.
that would, because I mean, there's always ways to circumvent certain things, right? And unless there's an actual dev inside of that game or inside of that dome that is being created, they otherwise they won't know, right?
You know who's always kid friendly?
Hmm.
Copy Unicorn. Do you, I got a great
He's
one
been
for
on
you today.
fire lately.
Yeah, I gotta. So, do you remember the YouTube short we made?
Yeah.
You guys, if you haven't seen the YouTube short, you got to go where we talk about Rob and being like what did I called it? Oh, I called it Obi Rob Kenobi, I think.
Yo, he came,
Where
actually Rob himself was like Kopi one Kenobi.
Kopi one Kenobi.
That
Oh,
was
is that what
brilliant.
is
Yeah.
that what he wants to be
Yeah,
called?
that well,
Kopi
no,
one
that's what
Kenobi.
he. I don't know if that's what he wants to be called, but I just know that that's what he
Well,
like. I
I
thought
don't think he has a choice. We're gonna call him, Kopi one Kenobi from now on.
Kobe one Kenobi.
So we're gonna do the everyone's favorite segment, especially Kopi Unicorn. When you have a talent like that, you need to show it off. So we're gonna do the meme minute.
Hell yeah!
Now let's see if we can't figure out what you are, my little friend.
I
And
can't wait for
where
you to see
you
this.
come from.
Oh my god!
I saw part of the message.
I seem to have found it.
You have a dream, you have a dream, you have hope. It's like in episode 4 Star Wars. We all
Oh my god! I love it so much.
Yo, Kopi's, he's so good at that, man.
And that is Kopi Unicorn and his true genius, meme making. Thank you for that one, Kopi Unicorn. That one's going to live in infamy in Kopi lore. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, it's a hit. I mean, I was checking out the Discord and everybody's enjoying that one. Actually, that was really good.
Yeah,
including Rob,
great.
which I'm glad he's a good sport about it.
Yeah, I'm glad. I mean, he seems like the kind of person that can take a good joke, a good natured
100%.
joke. And it's great that we can kind of remember. I like to think I started it off with I made a short a while back where he was drinking that. Remember that Fanta and the sunglasses that he had on?
Yeah.
And I was like, I called it Kopi Pump, the Kopi Pump Fanta because Kopi was pumping that day.
Yeah.
So let's check out the inventory now that we're here. You were messing around with it. Now that we're
I was trying to.
you probably can't look in it while I'm opening it up.
No, yeah. Well, you're fine. But the thing is, like, one of the things I was hoping that people could still do, like, you see, there's items on top of the box, but there's no way to
you can't grab those
differentiate
yet.
the items on top of the box versus what's in the box. Now, I don't know if that's planned, but it seems like these are items that you should be able to pick up. And I think one way that they can fix that is if they make the actual boxes themselves like a hold wide to open the box, as I just did, and versus a tap Y on the things that are just out in the world, right? So I should be able to just tap Y on this Half-Life's hot sauce green bottle here. I should just be able to just tap Y, pick it up, and same thing with the empty cup as well. I should just be able to tap Y.
I'm sure that's coming.
Yeah, I mean, this is why
in other games you can do
100%.
that,
And this is why we do things. This is the testing phase. This is not many people are able to see or be a part of this, the game testing portion of a game, honestly. And I feel very, fortunate to be here this early. Critique.
We spent a lot of time talking about getting in the mind of Rob, right? But this update, this game build is probably the biggest build update we've seen since the racing release, right?
Yeah.
I think you would agree with that, right? Like
Oh yeah.
this advancement, because you can't do anything else in this game without a functioning inventory system.
100%.
So I was hoping we were going to get the sliders this build, to do the characters. I think that's probably next on the agenda. I wouldn't be surprised if that comes out in the next build.
Oh yeah.
And I know a few builds ago they talked about voice proximity, which I could take or leave. I don't really need, because like we can use Discord, but I would love to see them like kind of hitting these marks so that that the game is just moving along as fast as possible.
Oh yeah.
This inventory thing is really exciting.
Oh yeah, this is the start, because obviously this screen right here, this whole inventory screen, this is going to be a main screen that we're all going to be in, and this is a crucial part of the game and how we interact with it. And as long as they get this right, and I like the look of it, and I'm just going to mention a few good things about it. I mean, in terms of it looks really clean. I like how organized it is. I understand, coming from other games, how the tabs work, and the fact that I was one thing I was having like a brain fart in terms of how do you equip like this. I grabbed the backpack, but I can't use it. But then you have to actually equip it, which is like a dumb moment, right? So it's like everything, it seems to be like properly and well done. One thing I will say is I hope that they can allow us to change the orientation of certain objects, like the burrito can be like vertical versus horizontal, like if we can maybe rotate things, because if it's a box, if you have a bag, right, you should be able to like orientate certain things.
That's difficult, right?
Yeah. But in terms of like what you see on this screen, that looks clean, looks well, and I can see the descriptions on the right for the items that are selected. And what else? Let's see if I can. Yeah, you can see the items selected. Industrial machine parts used to craft for crafting. The meat coma burrito boss, which I think the name was actually kind of funny. Death by meat, not quite. Meat coma will do exactly what it says. Enjoy that nap. I like the descriptions. That's exactly what we need. I think it's solid. And then you have the currency at the top with the XP points at the top right as well. I like the fact that like when you have to, in order to drop an item right now, right, you have to like select the item, hit B and then mark the items that you want to drop, right? And to mark these items. And then when you hit drop items at the very bottom, it's funny to me that you hit drop and then like everybody just drops an extra duffel bag on the ground with all those items on the ground. I thought that was pretty funny. And that's actually like a nice looking bag too. I would have a bag like that. Looks like it's made out of suede.
So that's what it's going to look like when you drop items. It's going to just be in this bag. In this
duffel bag. Yeah. That's I just dropped.
So if I kill you in the game and you drop like one of your valuable NFTs, it's going to just be in this bag.
Wait. Why do you got to be so morbid and kill me? I just dropped it on the ground.
I want to steal your NFTs.
I dropped it on the ground. That's it. You can just grab it. You can just take my items. You don't have to kill me for it. Or I guess maybe in Cornucopias you probably faint versus like die. I would hope, but
yeah. Well, originally is you get sent back to your home bubble, but now it's like your home basement apartment. I'm guessing. So, all right, Eddie, I'm not going to kill you today, and I'm not going to steal your loot. So I think you're okay. We're safe for now until we get weapons, and then all bets are off. I think we'll call it a pod. We did another. This is number. I don't even know. Is this number 3?
This is episode 3. Yeah, I believe.
Yeah, episode 3. So
yeah, and I will just a final thought. Also, is feel free to comment, like, subscribe. Right, in terms of like.
Oh yeah, I can't believe I forgot
things
that part.
Like things that we want to like. Things that you want to see, what you guys want to talk about, or want us to talk about. Just comments. Leave a comment. Hit the like buttons. We do read them.
Yes,
we want to get more engagement from the community, because this is a pod for you guys, right? Like this is actually meant. We're two guys. We're two people that are fans of the game, fans of the team. In no way are they shaping our opinions on the game. We're trying to showcase
our opinions, not theirs.
We're trying to showcase the game as best as we can in terms of the graphics, which we're still working on as well. I mean, there's just limited software out there in terms of being able to have us to show our cameras while also display the game. But we're doing this for you guys. We're trying to make sure that that we provide additional content out there that in order to again showcase the game and
And we're trying
talk
to do
about
it in a way that no one else is doing it, right? Like no one else is bringing you clips from the interviews and things like that. We hope that you can, get a lot of the information that's out there. We can distill it down for you for the things that we think are valuable and kind of give you a little insight to it, like we just tried to do today. If you like that kind of stuff, let us know. And if you don't,
Yeah,
don't let us know, because I can't handle that kind of negativity.
yeah.
I can't. Yeah, I only tell us if you like it. I don't want to hear it if you don't like it.
I mean, constructive criticism, but I mean, at the same time, like
It's
I
just
just feel like
constructive
if you
criticism.
don't have the ability to play this game, I feel like what our podcast is doing is also showcasing
Yeah.
the quality of it and what to expect out of it. Because I know sometimes when certain people they get the assets and then they realize, oh, I can't even get in the game because I don't have the PC. Well, come hang out with us. We'll walk around, look at things.
Yeah.
If you want us to race more, let us know. I mean, I do also stream on my own channel as well. Eddy Z Plays. You can also check out that as well. I'd like to plug myself right there.
Yeah, definitely check out your streams, and we will race more when I get my computer back from the
Yeah.
shop, whenever that happens. And the racing takes a lot of power on the computer.
Yeah, so join us on the journey, guys.
Yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. See you next week.
Thanks for watching.
Take good care. I could sync up the 3 videos, my video, your video, and game video, and the podcast of our faces, no problem. Like it would be, oh, you missed the boat.
Oh shit! Sorry, I was paying attention to other things.
Yeah.
Well,
all
right.
Follow me.
No.
Eddy Z, come back.
No.
What did you?
I was like, sorry.
You missed the boat. How did? It's a bright yellow bubble jet, and you're over there.
Yeah, I was going to open up OBS.
This is going into our blooper reel.